And it's knife time. And here we are. Today is a super special video. And I'm gonna say this right off the bat. This is my opinion. And speculation. And this video, as are all my videos, are for entertainment purposes only. I won't even say educational purposes, because if you're listening to me in the first place, you should probably get a mental health evaluation. So, this here is a K-bar. And let's see. This specific model is, and look at that. See that? That happened because I chucked it a second ago and missed my log. Fucking K-bar. Anyways, this is a 1211, but this is it's got the rubber handle that I got some goon tape on. Not a sponsor, and they sell overpriced tape. That's my opinion. So, this is a K-bar. It's very similar to the Marine Corps edition or military edition. As you can see, they're not super tough. That was just from a little rigmarole, and it missed the stump, and that happened. Now, today's video is a crossover video, because when I'm not getting bit by mosquitoes and making knife videos, one of my things is I enjoy true crime. And like I said, this is my opinion. This is my speculation. And it's just something I want to speak on. Anyway, so this here's a K-bar. And if you've been in the knife world, or you've been into knives at all, for any amount of time, I'm sure you know this. This is an old news thing. And this video is not about a K-bar per se. Yeah, I'm gonna have to straighten that out later, but... So anyways, this is not about a K-bar per se, but this is a video about terrible thing that happened in a state that actually connects to mine, not too far up the way. The horrible Idaho 4 murders that happened November 13th, 2022, I believe. And, you know, I don't watch TV. I don't keep up on stuff, but since one of my favorite things is true crime, I came across this case, and like one of my favorite true crime channels, they did a case on it, man, and the way they were talking about that, the Mr. Brian Christopher Koberger, I was like, man, this guy, wow, he must be all kinds of wackadoodled out. And then one day I was just scrolling through, and a channel popped up that I don't normally watch, and I watched this thing, and lo and behold, there is a whole gaggle of folks that have basically disproved the crooked state of Idaho's case against Brian Christopher Koberger. And I know that right there is upsetting people. Any victims, family members and stuff, you know, I know you're dead set on that. And I'm not trying to rub salt in your wounds or anything. I've lost friends and family, and I know how that could, I know how that affects the psyche and everything. And my condolences for all those families' great loss. For real. You know, they're not my people, but I can understand. But at this point, from the knowledge I've gleaned over about a year and a half, like deep diving into this case, that the state's lying, they're lying, the feds are lying, and they are pinning this case on I'd bet one of my Harleys on it that the dude is innocent. And before you get your your little bubblegum lips tied up in a fucking knot, and say, that stuff doesn't happen. The United States government killed one of our presidents and pinned it on a United States citizen. And, yeah, and that was proven. Trumpenstein dropped the documents on that, and that's a fact. So the government's crooked. Everything's crooked, and so that stuff does happen. And there are some doozy theories, and everything else out there. But the first thing that got me thinking about this case not being on the up and up was when the state and other folks and every media channel that covers this thing, they keep pushing that a K-bar knife was used because they found supposedly a K-bar style sheath at the crime scene, and 4 people were removed from this realm of existence. And the first thing that popped up in my mind was like, could a K-bar even do that? And I know there's a lot of people, oh, Donnie Junk, you've lost your mind. K-bar will do fucking internet. I broke this thing today, tossing it into a log from a foot away. It bent it. And I guarantee you, when I go to bend that back, that tab will probably snap off. K-bars ain't what they used to be. I'm sure there was a time where there were K-bars that were pretty good in the days of old, when American 1095 steel still had some steel left in it. But that was the first thing that got me questioning the case, was could a K-bar even put in that much work? And I'm sure it could, in the right hands. I don't think an autistic 28-year-old master's degree college student's hands are the hands that could do that, especially against 4 healthy, young, sports-related, in-shape individuals. Period. Especially when one of them's a pretty good-sized dude. And so that got to turning in my head, and there's a myriad of theories out there. And oh man, like there was just stuff this week that some dude proved that the car they're saying is the suspect's car is a certain car and a certain color and everything else, and it's been disproven. The car they're saying is this dude's, it ain't his car. For 100% positive. And just check it out. And I know a lot of my knife people aren't going to be into this, and I'm going to tag some true crime channels in this because this is my theory. And there's all kinds of circumstantial evidence in this case and all kinds of stuff. And some of the theories were ringing pretty true to me. They're ringing pretty true to me. And then I got to thinking, you know, just because these girls allegedly pumped some dope, and just because there was a massive dope bust up there, and just because there are criminal, I guess you would say, organizations that are pushing that up there, and they are known to be violent and proficient people. And I'm not even going to speak on what you guys are speaking on, naming names of organizations and stuff, because that's not my business, and I'm not trying to put dirt on nobody. But, you know, I'd only do that if I saw paperwork on somebody. So the bottom line is this. And I wouldn't do it publicly anyways. It's not my business. But, you know, and I believe, yeah, man, the car's been disproven. I believe that that dude's being set up and all this stuff, and there's all these theories, and there's this one dude, and he's really smart, and he's really gone into this, and there's this lady, Lana, at I can't remember the name of her station, but then there's the Jay Ombre guy, and those two, man, they're really diving in. And then There's some really brilliant like true crime people on the internet, on this YouTube, and they've really uh, come up with some good stuff. But I think that all that um, all that may be well and true, but I was on my way to work this morning, and one of my old favorite bands came on my iPhone on my car, and I had an epiphany. Now, before I get into my epiphany, let's just say this. One of the facts of the matter is, these roommates, the surviving roommates, they waited 8 to 9 hours to alert authorities that something was amiss in their abode. And that right there, everybody's like, "Oh, I wonder why. Oh, it was a dope house, and that they had to clear it out. And there's all these theories and all these theories and all these theories, And one of the main things is the level of inebriation that they've been pumping for these girls. The one girl supposedly had drank mimosas starting at breakfast, and then some White Claws, and then a Borg, which is a blackout rage gallon, which is a whole super duper bunch of alcohol and a bunch of crap mixed in with it in a gallon jug, and they go around, drink that. And I seen this girl, she's little, and that's another thing, there's speculation that she's a boy, and there's unknown male DNA at the crime scene. But if that's a boy, you can just go on and mail a pride flag to my house, because anyway, I'm a piece of shit. So I'm cruising to work, and like I said, one of my old school favorite bands came on, My Life with a Thrill Kill Cult, ironically enough. And I heard this. I'm gonna play this. This video might get struck down, my channel might get struck down, I don't care, because this was my epiphany for this case, and I might be 100% wrong, and this is my speculation and my opinion. But here we go. It's great.
Freaked out very, very badly. Freaked out on acid. I live for drugs. It's great. It's great. I'm the White Rabbit.
All right, let's follow the White Rabbit. So, all these theories running around, and the whole ass government and state gonna make some poor nerd face the firing squad most likely over this, because we all know that once the 73 IQ public gets their mind programmed enough on something, that it usually rolls that way. And so there's a young man's life who's in peril, which is horrible for his family. It's just as big of a tragedy that happened to these other families, because no matter what way you slice it, whether my epiphany's right or diesel country border, anyway, or one of these other theories is right, the bottom line is this, man. This has caused a lot of sadness for folks. And I keep saying that because I come off as a rude prick, because I'm on a different mental plane than most people. So here's my theory. I think that explanation of all that alcohol and stuff. It's like, man, that's a 100-pound girl, 120-pound girl. That much alcohol, I'm a 200-pound dude. And I was a raging alcoholic for over a decade of my life. I mean, waking up in alleys with no shoes type shit and everything else, man. And the amount of alcohol that kid was supposed to drink, yeah, on a good day, I could knock that back and go jet skiing or something, but I'm not going to be conscious enough to be seeing bushy eyebrows and all this stuff. And all these stories seem weird. And then when I heard that song this morning, what popped in my head is this. What if these kids were just on like some and kids, whoa, I retract that. These are young adults. Now, I'm sick of the media pushing the whole kid thing. These are young adults. When I was their age, I was into all kinds of stuff, so whatever. But what if these kids were on a heroic dose of psychedelics and they just fucking freaked out, man, and whacked each other out? And the surviving roommates, whether some people think one of them was there, one of them wasn't, they see that. And I mean, imagine that. Imagine the walls are melting in the first place, and then some shit goes down. And some people get whacked out. Because I'm not going to say unalived, and I'm not going to spell things. And like I said, if they strike this video down, well, more power to them, but I'm not a child, and you're not a child, and if you're watching YouTube, well, and you're a kid, you shouldn't be watching this. But, what if they just freaked out and whacked each other out, and the ones that didn't call the authorities for 8 to 9 hours didn't because they were tripping balls. I mean, I could only imagine what I would do if I come home and I was like on doing some things and I seen like some people in that kind of condition. It's like, and you were in that state of mind, I don't think you'd want to be calling law enforcement. And like the Steve G guy said, you know, like, well, these they called somebody that was over 21 in case they, you know, they had some beer and they in their room and all that stuff, and you know, they didn't want to get in trouble because, you know, they're getting ready to graduate and that could cost them their whole career. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, when people are in pieces laying around, I don't think cops would care about a couple fucking beers in the fridge, man. And even if so, that's a minor possession thing, and it's not even a thing, man. It's not even a thing. I don't care all this mysterious, oh, but in Idaho. I've been to Idaho. Ain't much different from where I'm at. And it makes more sense to me that you wouldn't want to contact law enforcement if you were frying balls. You don't want to deal with no one. I'm speculating. This is all my opinion. And all these wonderful theories that you guys have put in work and everything else, you're showing cars that ain't cars and stuff. That's cool. Cars were driving around. People were pushing dope up there. Maybe these girls were involved in that. But nowadays, I'm going to keep it real, man. People aren't just going around like in that socioeconomic type area, you know, inflicting that level of retaliation for even a good size dope debt, period. Because you're going to get told on, and you're going to spend the rest of your life rotting in a fucking cage. And young people know that, and young people are scared, and they'll tell. And, you know, the college and the state and these Greek life cults that you send your children off to, imagine that, if that came out, that these kids just freaked out, man. and I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, think about that. that would be like all over TMZ and everything else. These kids got whack-a-doodled out and they whacked each other out. You know, that'd be so wild. Nobody would ever send their kids to that area for school ever again. They'd be like, man, they're taking heroic doses of psychedelics up there and going Manson family on each other. Wow. Period. I'm checking notes. Like I said, this is a crossover true crime video. This is not my normal type of thing. I just have to speak out on this. Yeah. No, I covered what I need to cover. I think that makes perfect sense, and I completely believe that there's all this other crazy activity going on in that town, but I don't believe that level of retaliation would be put in for any kind of debt, period, in that socioeconomical area, no matter what quote gang ties these people have. And I won't even speak on that shit, period. Let's get into this knife a little bit. Like I said, this is the K-Bar 1211, made in Olean, New York. 1095 steel, shitty, cheap, weak metal crossguard that bends when you go to chuck it in a log and it misses it. Yeah, K-Bar, neat. The last knife I would grab if I was going to go into any type of situation like that, period. And I think the only reason a K-Bar's even mentioned is because they supposedly found a K-Bar knife sheath there on the scene, and it has transfer, supposedly, DNA on it from this young man, supposedly. But if you get into all the stuff I've got into over the last year and a half, that don't even pan out. And I'm going to try and figure out some content creators that I watch about this stuff. And I have tons of respect for you guys. And I've, your theories have entertained me for quite a long time. But I just had to get into that. I had to speak on this because I don't think it's right that the man can blatantly lie and cheat and set up some young dude for some stuff that he had most likely nothing to do with. Maybe he knew them people. Maybe he got high with those people. I don't know. But the actions that went down, I don't see a 28-year-old kid, no matter how much the media wants to say, oh, he Googled Ted Bundy. I Googled Ted Bundy. I Googled Tommy Karate. Google Tommy Karate. Free Tommy Karate. He held it down all these years, never told on nobody. I'm wearing my true crime shirt. Anyways, so that's that. That was my psychotic ramble. I'm tired. I worked hard today. And I had to get that out. Don't waste your money on a K-Bar anymore. Look at that crap. That's after I bent it back halfway. I gotta fix this. It's driving me crazy. I'll put it in the vise. Like I said, the last knife I would grab if I was going into a situation would be a rat tail tang crap K-Bar, man. These are cool for the movies and opening MREs. That, it's a fighting. This knife is designed for fighting other men. This knife was designed for fighting other men a long ass time ago. And there are tens of thousands of better knives than this for any type of real knife work. So that's my rant. Free Brian Koberger. You guys need to tell the truth. Just say it, man. Don't matter. That's my theory. They freaked out on acid. Follow the white rabbit.